Many musicians never seem to get past the beginner stage of their piano playing, and it's not because of their lack of talent, but it's simply because they don't know how to practice like a pro. In this video, I'm going to give you 6 simple strategies that will transform your playing. So if you're sick and tired of playing the same thing over and over and over, then stick with me and I'll guide you to becoming a pro. So the first thing that pros do differently is that they practice effectively. So I have noticed a lot of beginners, especially my students, when they get to the piano, all they want to do is to play the things that they know already. So they're playing songs or they're just running up and down and improvising, which is good, but that's not really where the improvement happens. Pros, on the other hand, what they do is they pick one thing to focus on and then they practice that one thing until it gets better. So for example, your one thing might be something like a scale. So if I pick a scale, let's say I'm a beginner and I'm learning the A major scale. By the way, for some reason, beginners will say, scales are boring, or do I really have to do this? Pros, on the other hand, they know that this is very important. So a beginner typically will play, I'm trying an A major scale, right? So they'll play a wrong note and oops. Okay, well, they probably say that in their head, but they realize, okay, I made a mistake. Now I've got it right. Okay, since we're playing black keys, maybe, oops. They realize it's not the case, so they start again. There we go. And there's another oops moment. Okay, so we can get rid of all the oopsies, and a pro makes sure that they know exactly what they're doing. Okay, so that they don't make the same mistake again. So a pro might say, they'll get to that oops moment, but then they'll take a mental note of that and make sure that they don't play that again. Okay, so they might even repeat just those 3 notes over and over. And they might even play those 3 notes at the same time. So they take note of the shape. It's white, white, black. Okay, so that's how my A major scale starts. Okay. Now to the next part. The pro is also aware of fingering, and the standard fingering for a lot of these scales is 1, 2, 3, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, especially if you're starting on a white key. Okay, they know the next thing will be, so I play do, re, mi, now fa. They reach an oops moment there. And immediately they realize, wait, it's also going white, white, black. So that pattern is similar to the pattern that I played just before. Right, so you can practice it like this a few times. Okay, and then we try it again, so. And try a black key and wish for the best. It was right. Okay, so to get this, they'll play maybe as a block. So I've got this followed by that, and that's my scale. And a pro might take this a step further because they're still working on an A major scale, so they might play it across their entire instrument. So they might maybe say, they'll probably go down here and then go here and there and there and there and there. Once they've done that a few times, when they play the scale, guaranteed no mistakes. So the pro practices correctly. Instead of fishing for notes and finding things, they take time, find shapes within the music, and then they've got it permanently. Okay, so that's just a scale. But what if you're working on a piece, because this is a thing that musicians do all the time, right? We're always working on pieces. So a piece that I've been working on lately is an impromptu by Schubert. So I'm actually going to put my keyboard an octave lower so that I've got enough keys. So it goes something like this. It's in F sharp. So it goes. And on it goes, right? So a beginner is probably not going to play this exact piece, but they'll play something at their level, but they'll probably do what I did there, which is just play the notes from beginning to end. A pro, on the other hand, will say, you know what, this piece has got 3 things happening at the same time. So it's a big problem. So how can I make my big problem smaller? So they might then say, okay, I'm going to practice just the melody and see if I can make that melody sing. So, by the way, I'm also going to use the correct fingers. So once they've got that melody singing, they might then say, okay, what's happening in the left hand? Because my accompaniment is in the left hand. So here's the accompaniment. So a pro is able to play hands separately. And they take things a step further and they'll say, okay, since this is the accompaniment and this is the melody, let me see if I can make my melody stand out and have the accompaniment softer. So they might go and then play the accompaniment and try and make it softer. So here's the melody note. Okay, so that's actually better. And they're making decisions throughout. So like the first time I played it, I didn't quite like that, but the second time I thought was better. So, and then I'll try and play them together. Correct fingering and everything. And once they're happy with that, they might say, wait, now we need to add the middle part because there's some broken chords in the middle. So what if I try and play the accompaniment with the broken chords? So that's probably something like. And as a pro, you want to aim for a balance between your hands. So already one thing I can hear is that my broken chords are not even. So I might want to even that out a little bit more. So now I'm practicing effectively. So again, I've mastered the 3 different sections separately. And then the pro might then say, let me try the melody with the middle broken chords. So trying to make the broken chords softer, right, for balance. Nah, that's too loud. and so forth, right? And then they'll take things to the next step again. And remember, all I'm doing is working on one thing. I want to have balance between my hands and in fact between the three parts or the three sections that are being played simultaneously. So playing them simultaneously will be the last thing on the pro's mind. So once I've done them separately, slowly, paid attention to detail, now I can think about, okay, let me try everything together, because now I can really hear what's happening. So I'll go. And remember, I haven't even spoken about pedal or anything, but that's how a pro might approach learning a new piece. And then, so we've done scales, we've done a piece. Maybe the pro is working on their improvisation. So I have been listening to Miles Davis's album. I think it's called Milestones. And there's a solo there that Red Garland plays on, forgetting the name of the song. That song, Straight No Chaser, is the name of the song. Okay. That song. So, in that song, it's in the key of F. And I noticed that at some point when there's a 2-5-1 progression, which is Red Garland plays this line here. It goes something like, I'll play that again. So, one more time, and okay. So, a beginner will probably play that again. He might not play that line because that's probably too advanced. Okay, but they might play it and then just leave it at that. What a pro will do is they'll take things a step further and play that line in that key a few times. But then they'll say, you know what, for me to make progress and for me to actually gain from this experience, I'm going to practice this in every key. So they might go to the key of C and say, no. And maybe do that a few times and say, okay, now let me try it in the key of C sharp. So. My fingering was not good. Okay. And so forth. Then you might go to the key of D. So let's see. That's it. So. Okay. Obviously, I need to practice this more, and that's what a pro would do. And then maybe go to another key, maybe E flat. Let's see. See, it was easier for me in E flat, so that tells me that I need to practice more in the other keys. Okay, because that's where I'm struggling. So a pro would play that piece of vocabulary in all 12 keys, but they'll always take things a step further. So they'll say, okay, the Red Garland played this in Straight No Chaser. It was over a 2-5-1. What other song can I practice this over that also uses 2-5-1s? And maybe they might pick a song like that is All the Things You Are, all right? It uses lots of 2-5-1, so that's lots of opportunities to practice that line. So, what if I said, every time I get to a 2-5-1, I'm going to try and play that line. Let me see how that goes. I might try it here as well. So I hope you can see that all I'm doing is taking that same melody or same line but trying to play it in a different place. Sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not. But that is a way more effective way of improving my jazz improvisation and making the most of the thing that I learned instead of just mindlessly And obviously that probably sounds cool to the musician's ears, but that is playing and not practicing. The pro takes one thing. Actually, I like what Bill Evans once said, our dear friend Bill Evans, who Bill Evans, he was once asked, well, Maestro, what do you practice? And his answer, I love the answer. He just said, as little as possible. Okay. So Bill, the pro, just practiced the bare minimum. Okay. Just one thing most of the time. And then he made sure that he got it, that one thing, and then moved on to the next thing. Okay. So that's the first thing that pros do. And now for tip number 2. Hello there, my music family and friends. I just wanted to take a quick break from the video, and I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Now, really quickly, did you know that about 75% of the people that watch my videos are not yet subscribed to this channel? That means there's a chance that you're probably not subscribed either. So if you're not subscribed, please do me a favor and go and click on that subscribe button. That's really going to help me to continue creating content like this and for this channel to do really well. The next thing I wanted to say was, if you are either a musician or a songwriter who's looking to grow their skills, I would like to invite you to a very special online event. This is called Play Piano Like a Pro. So this is for anyone who's never played the piano, or maybe you've played a little bit, but you really want to develop your skills. In just 90 days, I will take you through step by step from absolute beginner to really sounding like a very decent pro. Then the final online event that I would like to invite you to is, if you are a piano player who's already played and you're probably at an intermediate level, so that means you can play some chords and the inversions, you know your scales, and you can play basic songs in different keys. I've got a jazz program that I'm also running over 90 days that I would like to invite you to, where we're going to learn the basics of jazz piano, chord voicings, jazz tunes, chord progressions, how to improvise, the works. So if this sounds like something that you might be interested in, I am going to put a link in the description below. So please click that link and I will get in touch with you. Okay, so let's jump back into the video. Pros master and they absolutely love the fundamentals. And by fundamentals, I'm talking about things like technique. So they want to make sure that they have a good posture when they sit at their instrument. They want to make sure that they're free to play. They want to make sure they have a good hand position. They want to make sure that the movement of everything from the fingers, which part of the finger am I using? Okay, am I using my upper arm, my shoulder? Am I using my, what do you call this? Your forearm. All right. Am I using the weight of my arm to get into the keys? So the pros practice this very intentionally. Okay, so practice with good technique. So they want to develop good technique. The pros know, by the way, with technique, I've got a video which you can check out here on technique. They practice their scales, so they know all 12 major scales. So a pro will know, okay, not just the key of C, you know. So I've just played all 12 keys. And 12 is not a big number. And it's very doable because a lot of the scales if you practice them, you'll realize they've got a lot of similarities. So they're not very different. So the pros: good technique, scales. By the way, scales is something that I cover a lot of in my coaching programs. So feel free to check out the link in the description if you want to know most of these fundamentals. So they know their scales. I mean, these were major scales, but you also need to know your minor scales and all types of minor scales. You need to know your modes. So pros know all these things. Pros know not just good technique, not just scales, but they also know their chords. That means a pro knows all 12 major chords. They know all minor chords. You know, and a lot of pros even go a step further to, they know the inversions to this chord. So if you say C, they know that, okay, I can play C like this, but I can also play it like this, and like that, and like that. So there's all these different ways of playing, right? So they know and they love the fundamentals. So the fundamentals are not boring. I love people like Kobe Bryant, the basketball player, who was just obsessed with the fundamentals. When they asked him, what do you practice? He's practicing his footwork, he's practicing his shooting, and all dribbling, the basics. So become a lover of the basics and you will become a pro very quickly. And now for tip number 3. Pros train their ears. So pros have got well-developed ears. So they don't just rely on the written music. They have got good hearing and good inner hearing. Okay, so they hear things that maybe the beginner doesn't necessarily hear, but that comes with practice. So one tip I've got for you, because I did this quite a lot and all my musician friends have done this at some point, is they'll listen to a song. The first thing that they try and identify is the key in which the song is, so the tonal center. Okay, so they always ask themselves, well, what key is this song in? And you could find a key. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to have perfect pitch, you just have to be able to hear it. I'm actually going to give you a practical example. So I'm going to find a song on YouTube, and then I'm going to try and find what key that song is in. Okay, so
I found a love for me.
So because I've heard this song a few times, I can hear that the key or the tonal center is La. So I'm going to try and find that La on the piano. I'll start maybe on La. Okay, I can tell it's not this note. La. It's lower than that. So La. Not that one. La. No, La. I'm getting closer, but it's not this. La. There it is. So that song is in the key of A flat. Okay. Let's try another song. Again, I'm looking for the tonal center so I can hear La, La, La. I don't have perfect pitch, so I'm going to look for La. It is higher. La. Not that one. La. I'm getting closer. La. I'm getting even closer. La. Close, but not close. La. There it is. Okay. So I can definitely hear that song is in the key of D. Okay. So a pro can identify the key by finding it of any song, and then the other thing that they can also do is they can identify the bass notes to a song. So if I continue playing this song, we said it's in the key of D, right? So it's the D, ta, ta, ta. That's what I heard. Ta, ta. Well, I can do that easily because I know my D major scale. So I'm not going to necessarily look for notes that are not in that key. So, la, la, let me find out what's coming next. Da, so I can hear it's that. So it's going from 1 to 4 to 6. To 5. So it's going 1. In fact, since it's bass notes, I should be playing them down here. 1, 2, 3. Then it goes to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 6, 2, 3, 4. Then 5, 2, 3, 4. So those are the bass notes for that song. And because I've been playing a while, and as a pro musician, I can then play chords that correspond to those bass notes. So for the one chord, there's chord 4, right? And then chord 6. They probably played a sus chord there. Okay. So the pro musician, good ears because they can identify the key in which the song is, can identify the bass notes, and the next step that they then take is the chords. And this ear training again is a thing that I cover in my programs, which again are in the description, so check those out. Okay, now let's go for tip number 4. This video is brought to you by Next Level Piano. If you would like to learn how to play the piano, sound amazing, impress your friends while having fun at the same time, well, I've got you covered. In my Learn Piano Like a Pro program, which is just for 90 days, I'll teach you everything and guide you every step of the way from going from a complete beginner to an absolute pro. All you need is a keyboard instrument and the desire to learn, and this will turn your dream into a reality. If you already know your chords but you want to learn jazz from scratch, then my Jazz and Improvisation Essentials program is going to help you to discover beautiful chord voicings, jazz tunes, and improvisation techniques step by step. So if you're ready to stop dreaming and start playing, then click that link in the description and I will show you how to make music that sounds incredible. So the fourth thing that pro musicians do is they practice improvisation. Improvisation isn't just for like the gospel musicians or the jazz musicians. Improvisation is for everybody. Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, Chopin, Schumann, Schubert, everybody, like throughout history, all the great musicians, they were able to improvise. So the pro musician knows all these different improvisational techniques. They know all these different scales that they can use. They know all these different licks, like that lick that I showed you just now. As a jazz musician, you want to have as many of those as possible so that you can incorporate them into your playing. So here are a few tricks that you can use for improvisation. I'm just going to use the key of C, okay, because it's just easy to see. So one scale that's very common and easy to improvise on is the major pentatonic scale. So here's a C major pentatonic scale. So I'm playing C, D, E, G, A. And ideally, you want to be able to play this across the entire instrument. Oh, this is interesting. As I'm playing this, I'm already here. You know, so with that pentatonic scale, you can actually create melodies. I hope you know what that is. That's Don't Worry, Be Happy, right? Or Amazing Grace. So with the pentatonic scale, the nice thing is they work on quite a number of chords. So let's say I'm in the key of C, right? I'm just going to play 1, 5, 6, 4. I can now So you can make up countless things using your major pentatonic scale. Again, as a pro, you want to know this in all 12 keys. Usually beginners just play the things that they know or that the teacher has taught them, and they stick to that. But the pro takes this a step further. It's trying to find different ways. How else can I play this song? Okay, and make it my own. So make that a habit, and you'll soon be a pro. You could also, so I mean, we did the pentatonic scale, but you could start adding a blue note. Okay, and by blue note, I'm talking about, if I'm thinking of the key of C, my blue note will be E flat. So if I add E flat to my pentatonic scale, actually, I have something about this blue note in the pentatonic scale in my free lesson here for how to play a 12-bar blues. So please be sure to check that out. So I can play things like, right? Okay, so again, improvisation is something that I cover a lot in my jazz and improvisation essentials program. So again, it's in the description. Please feel free to check that out. Let's go to tip number 5. Tip number 5 is that pro musicians know how to make arrangements of a song. Okay, so they can, like I said earlier, beginners usually, the song is this way, and that's the only way they know how to play it. But pros find different ways of playing the same song. So I played Amazing Grace earlier, so maybe let me use that. So maybe a beginner has learned to play this song like this. Just the melody and chords. That's the only way they'll play that song. But a pro knows different left-hand techniques, for example. So they might say, instead of just, what if I play? I can turn this into a waltz. Or they might say, let me use a fair release pattern. And some of these patterns, you can find them in this video right here. So or they might say, let me use a Chopin pattern. And as they're doing that, they can say, okay, actually, you know what, let me start harmonizing my right hand, so that instead of just the melody, I'm going to add, that's a sixth. Or they might even say, you know what, those chords are getting boring, I'm going to add my own chords to that. So I'm substituting. Okay, so that's me making a spontaneous and instant arrangement of this song. So that's something that pros do that beginners probably don't do. In my coaching programs, I teach my students several ways of playing the same song. So I've already explained how to improvise, but also countless left-hand patterns. countless ways of harmonizing and reharmonizing. So those are all things that I cover there. So again, please make sure you check this out in the description. Let's go to the next tip. So the final tip is pro musicians practice musically. All right. So instead of just playing the notes, they will add things like dynamics. They will add articulation. By dynamics, I'm talking about loud and soft. Okay. So if they're playing I hope you can hear that in that last section there, I got louder. By the way, this song is Easy by Lionel Richie, and I've got a tutorial for that, which you can also check out right here, and countless other tutorials which you can check out on this channel. So dynamics, loud, soft, getting louder, we call that a crescendo. Getting softer, that's a diminuendo or decrescendo. So they incorporate all these things. They also incorporate a balance between the hands. So I demonstrated that in the Schubert song, but maybe let me play a beginner song which can maybe state the same point. So I'm going to play something by Schumann. Okay, The Happy Farmer. I hope I can play this correctly with no music. Right. So this song has the melody in the left hand. Okay. And then accompaniment is in the right hand. So So a beginner is probably just plonking away. I hear that so many times and just want to vomit. But pro musicians practice musically from the very beginning. So when they're playing these little songs, or even I hope you can hear my crescendos there. I hope you can hear that my accompaniment is softer than the melody. There. It's not. So. Trying to get louder there. Right. So that I give that melody a beautiful shape. That note is softer. And also I hope you can hear that. This is legato, and then staccato, staccato, with a decrescendo. Different articulation. So articulation is referring to your staccato and legato. That's staccato. This is legato. Okay. So let's quickly recap these 6 important strategies that will turn you into a pro. Number 1, pros practice with focus. And then the second tip, they master the fundamentals. So good technique, all scales, all chords, all inversions. And then tip number 3 is that the pro musicians train their ears constantly. So they're hearing the key in which the song is, the bass notes, and the chords. Tip number 4 is that the pros learn how to improvise. So they improvise all the time. So they actually practice improvisation. Tip number 5 is that the pros arrange songs in creative ways. Okay, so they try and make the song beautiful and to play it in their own way. And then the final tip is that pros play musically so that they can touch you right here and play with emotion. So please let me know which tip helped you the most. Please drop that in the comments below. If you found this helpful, imagine how much more you would improve with structured lessons and structured guidance and feedback. That's exactly what I offer in my coaching programs. So if you want to transform your playing, and turn your dreams into reality, please check out that link in the description, click on it, and I will help you to become a pro musician.